today in this episode of Star Wars Discussed, I will be discussing why Starkiller Base actually makes sense. Story-wise, it doesn't make too much sense. Kind of a repeat of the Death Star, which happened twice before, but militarily, it actually does make some good sense. Now, so the Empire decides to build the Empire decides to build a planet-killing weaponry to inspire fear in their galaxy and rule by fear. Man, FDR would be like, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. And that's why the Empire is trying to use fear on its side. We won't fear that fear. Kind of thing. He actually probably made a good leader of the rebellion. But that's beside the point. So, the Death Star was inspired to design fear, which probably wasn't that good militarily, but if you do the talking doctrine as it calls in Legends, or a fear-based doctrine for ruling the galaxy, it makes sense. The first one's destroyed. What do? You build another one, cause now your main method of inspiring fear or causing fear is gone. So you have to build another one. Now, the Death Stars have big problems. For basically a doomsday machine, they kept it secret until the word was leaked. Now, you do want doomsday machines to be you don't necessarily want a doomsday machine to be secret, but depends on what type of doomsday machine is. If it's a doomsday machine that's basically designed to destroy your enemies even after yourself's been destroyed, you want that doomsday machine to be known, because it contributes to MAD, or mutually assured destruction. But the Death Star does not follow that. It's more like a standard atomic bomb. You people know you have a big dangerous weapon. They just don't know how much power or exactly what. So it's like could be somewhat known by that. But so they kept it secret until the first one was leaked and discovered. And then with the second one, they made probably the biggest mistake. They let their enemy, they deliberately let their enemy know about it as a trap. And well, the rebels threw everything they had at the Death Star in hopes of destroying it, and it worked both times. Pretty much, except for not all their forces, but a good chunk of their forces and best ones too. They really threw what they could at both Death Stars and won. So, that was not good on the Empire's part. They underestimated their enemy. They were hoping to, the first one they wanted to inspire fear, second one they wanted to replace that lost use of fear, and capture and destroy the rebels once foreign and failed. Now, what did the First Order do? They learned from the mistakes of the Empire and built another super weapon, but they kept it secret until they used it. It never leaked like the first Death Star did, as we saw in Rogue One, or even in Legends, where the Emperor imprisoned rebel leaders directly on the Death Star, and who later got away. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, by the way, is where that appeared. Literally, the most idiotic strategy you want to do if you want to keep it secret, and your enemies are now looking for a way of destroying it, which happened. Now, in canon, a little better, they kept it secretly until when their chief scientists told the rebels, who have been hearing hints about it for at least 2 to 3 years prior. And when you got one Grand Admiral who opposes its intended purpose, then you know that it's probably not the best idea, and they continued with it. Okay, they didn't want to waste all their time, but it had been suspected by the rebels for at least 2 to 3 years before Battle Endor. In fact, the Kyber crystals for it appeared in Rebels, and the Rebels destroyed some of it, explaining why they needed the smaller crystals, and even all the way back before the Clone Wars even ended, it was already being built. So, and the Jedi were already investigating, and one of them was Obi-Wan Kenobi, who probably told Bail Organa about what he discovered on Utapau during during those episodes of the Clone Wars that were unfinished but are considered canon. They and so that will most presumably tell the rebels as a whole. But what they don't know what's going on. They only have rumors of that until the chief imperial scientist basically defects and tells the rebels how to get the plans, and the rebels get the plans and destroy the Death Star. And the first use of the Death Star was just against the world of Alderaan, who, while peaceful, and did support the rebels. They were peaceful, and maybe not. It would have been better to go against the world in active defiance against Empire or something. But the Empire really, sure they could indiscriminately target a planet, but what good would that really do? All you would do is create a bunch of martyrs and inspire your fear. Especially when they were expecting something to happen. They knew of it going on. So it's still fearful, but you motivated a revenge, which is the problem the Empire had. What did the First Order do? They built Starkiller Base presumably based off of designs the Empire had, but they kept it secret. That's right, they kept it secret until they used it against the New Republic's capital and wiped it out along with the majority of the New Republic Starfleet. A much better military use of a super weapon. Granted, it was then later destroyed by 2 squadrons of X-Wing starfighters and a extremely well-forced and sensitive young girl young lady, more accurately, who grew up on a desert planet, just like Luke Skywalker, and even used Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. And an old smuggler, and an angry Wookiee. Maybe he wasn't necessarily angry, but yeah, angry. Along with a defected stormtrooper. Okay, some defections, but literally, if it wasn't for Finn defecting and not running away from the First Order, he just wanted to run away where nobody will ever find him again. They could have probably just wiped out the Resistance too, and they nearly did. Because the problem with the First Order's Starkiller Base was the slim oscillator. Okay, granted another exhaust port, but unlike the exhaust port, the starfighters literally could not destroy it. The photon torpedoes and the laser cannons, even probably the Y-wings probably would not have been able to get that, but it was probably shielded. And come on, you got a planet-sized super weapon that literally sucks in the power of a star, then releases it out faster than the speed of light. So it fires, destroys the planet, and you can still see it, where it essentially warps space and time. You know how much power output that is, and probably how much heat you have to vent to keep that thing from blowing up? Why do you think the rebels targeted that? The thing that kept it safe from blowing itself up is what needed to be destroyed in order to destroy it. The Death Star had a 1-meter exhaust port. That is pretty impressive, because then you needed some way to vent all that exhaust from a big planet-destroying weapon. Those need ways to vent exhaust, otherwise they would explode. And those also became their weaknesses. But the First Order was much, much smarter. They kept it secret to their use. They wiped out their enemies' leadership and most of their enemies' military, and were only defeated because a bunch of resistance fighters got through their shield using an insane stunt that should not have worked unless Han Solo is actually force sensitive, which he probably is and just doesn't know it. And acting in Star Wars Aftermath, which I will have which will be coming out on my book review channel in about 2-3 weeks. Yeah, I believe so. 17th, I believe. 17th and 4th, somewhere around there. Han Solo actually says he might be force sensitive. She should ask Luke about it. We don't know if he did, but that is something interesting to point out, that Han Solo might have been force sensitive. Otherwise, how could he have made that insane jump through hyperspace, through a planet's shield, and got out of hyperspace before he ran into the planet, which he nearly did? The Force was involved, also known as plot armor, by the way, even though it didn't save him in the end. But that's a wholly different story. Spoiler alert, too late. But also what did you also have? You also had that force sensitive sense. You had Ray on the planet as well, captured, who uses the force to release herself successfully. And so there's that. So those are what really caused. And then of course Captain Phasma, you need to read the book Phasma to understand some of her characterization, but in order to save her own skin, she let down the chute. If she was willing to sacrifice herself from the First Order like she expects of her troops, she wasn't looking out just for herself, the First Order would have won that day. The selfish actions of one of their own is what caused them to fall. Kind of interesting though. But also the Starkiller Base militarily and weapon progression. Okay, so it makes sense again. Now you can't think this from story point telling. You gotta think this from more of a real life perspective to get this work. You can't look at storytelling, but it does work. You build a weapon. Let's take the tanks as a historical example. You had the British Mark 1, Mark 2's tanks, those World War 1 era tanks that had machine gun emplacements, and if you were lucky, it had a small cannon. World War 2, much better armored vehicles, faster, better armed, nearly every had main cannon and machine guns. Now today's tanks, again, main cannon that, and even faster. Technological progression. Also look at naval vessels. You begin with the wooden sailing ships and non-movable non-movable cannons. So you can only, except unless you had a few facing forward and behind, you always had to do broad shots. Wood, easily destroyed by a cannonball. Unless you was the U.S.'s Constitution, but that's a different story. So those ships, eventually, someone said, let's put armor plating on them and allow the guns to swerve. To change naval combat. Then you got fully iron ships. Not just some iron plating on top of wood, but 100% iron, rotating heavy cannons, heavy guns that could literally tear small ships apart with one shot. And then, boom, aircraft carriers. Changed totally warfare. The aircraft carrier is to naval vessels what Starkiller Base was to Death Stars, really. Huge leap in technology and ability, but you can still track the progression in changing doctrine. You develop a plane that the Empire develops a weapon that can destroy a plane in a single shot but needs 24 hours to recharge. Okay. New design. Another one, slightly bigger, that can destroy a plane in a single shot and takes half as long to recharge. Essentially. Or you can do small reactor shots that can destroy one ship, but you can recharge in minutes. Much better. The Death Star first one, I presume, like when they only used one reactor, they probably could fire again, probably within an hour. So much quicker, much better. Starkiller Base. Takes a long time to charge, but one shot destroys multiple planets and can destroy every planet in a single solar system. Doesn't that, from a military standpoint, if you're trying to develop bigger, badder weapons, it makes sense. Story-wise, maybe not so much, but it does make sense militarily. It makes sense when you look at real-life examples of things progressing. Because if in the real world, would you have seen them stop? Okay, we have this nice brand new tank. We're done. We don't need to make any improvements. That would have never happened when you could potentially face more conflict in the future. And then you got other things going on too. Aircraft. We built an aircraft. We put guns on it. Now we can use it militarily. We don't need to build better ones, faster ones. Nah, that's not needed. Hello. When you're fighting a war, you always want bigger, badder weapons than your opponent, and then what you used to have in order to keep an advantage. Should you have it, or take over the advantage and take it from the enemy. So, Starkiller Base makes sense. You just gotta make sure you're looking at it correctly. So there you have it. Why Starkiller Base actually makes sense when you look at it from a military standpoint. And now I talked about a lot of using real world analogies, but it still stands. Now, of course, as I say more times, I do admit that from a storytelling point of view, it's not the best. But if you rule a galactic empire and you're trying to make the best weapon possible to ensure stability and to make sure you have control, yeah, it makes sense. So Starkiller Base and its super weapon makes sense from a military standpoint. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment down below. Let me know what you think of Starkiller Base's ability. Do you think it was a good idea? Do you think it makes sense? And if you can, include it. You don't have to, but I will encourage you. I want to talk with you. I want to see what you think, and I'll be replying to your comments down below in some way. Have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the force be with you always.